All right, we're going slowly but surely live on YouTube. Launching the second platform here, LinkedIn. And finally, Facebook as well. So, all right, give me guys split second here to monitor and see what's going on. But I think we are live. Isn't it always awkward watching these live streams?
Oh, dude, I have it on YouTube. I just got a notification. Watch live now.
Yeah, well, good. Good. So, all right, so guys, are you ready? Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody who's watching us tonight, guys. We are live per usual. It is Tuesday. Hopefully by now you're used to seeing me and Matt. And as you can see, we're also joined by another great human being tonight. So let me do a quick intro. So again, Matt, who you guys probably know, who is a founder of White Bison Ventures, and also a mentor of Growth Clinic. So we're also joined tonight by a good friend of mine. It's always a pleasure to introduce somebody with this, a good friend of mine, a brother from the country where I came from Ukraine, and a great friend and a brother, but also an influencer. Let me get it right, Nico, so correct me if I'm wrong.
I won't know what to correct you. I do too much sometimes.
There you go. So an influencer, entrepreneur, and an author. So we don't get to have people like you as often here on this live stream. So we would like to give you a big round of applause and welcome. So good to have both of you guys, Matt and Nico. So, all right, any sort of quick updates before we get started? Any sort of quick hellos to your family or anything like that? And by the way, once we get these episodes uploaded, you can also find them on Spotify. So besides Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, Spotify is another platform where you can find them. So, well, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So, well, Nico, again, this is a great pleasure to have you here tonight. So we're gonna focus our attention a little bit more on what's happening with you in your mind, things like that. And so, tell us a little bit more about, I guess, yourself. Quick intro, and we're gonna jump right into the recent trip that you took to Asia. So tell us a little more about yourself and the trip.
So basically, if you don't know who I am and you're watching, you just come across this video. My name is Nico. I have a YouTube channel called Back to Life, in which I do my world travels on there. I think at this point I'm at about 13 or 14 countries in the past 2 to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I spend a lot of time in South India. I love the place. It's a place called Kerala. And most recently, I came back about a month ago, actually. I was in Kerala, India for about 4 weeks almost. I went over to Switzerland. I went to Germany, Austria, Serbia, Hungary, and made it back home, in which I have another YouTube channel called Nico's Property Show, in which I'm building a duplex right now, where I kind of teach people how to, build from the ground up. It's definitely entertaining, but still with some technical stuff where you can learn. But I am more of a showman versus an engineer or architect, to say the least. So I definitely love the entertainment side of things. I've also written 2 books at this point. I have music on Spotify, Apple Music, all streaming platforms. Have a few businesses that I also have. So I'm just, I guess I'm what they call a serial entrepreneur. That's kind of like my elevator speech right there. If that worked, I'm not sure. I need some feedback here. I'm not sure if that worked.
Yeah, I think it definitely works. So Nico, as far as the content goes, that's the way I got to know you. So that was my first impression. You will always remain an influencer, and then my brother and a friend and a mentor. And about mentorship, I'll mention a little bit more. I had a chance to kind of do a quick mentorship with Nico, and so it was pretty awesome when it comes to content, things like that. But So yeah, tell us a little bit more about why. Well, first, why do you get involved with all these things? So, between all the YouTube channels that you got started, so you said something about the construction, right? So we're gonna go a little bit maybe more into this. You also mentioned that you haven't mentioned, but I know it, and those of you who know you, they'll also testify to this. You've got the Back to Life channel, which you've got a T-shirt saying exactly that. So that is a bit more of a travel. It's
more travel and motivational, kind of basically what you stand for, the growth mindset, the get out of your comfort zone. it's more of the motivational of, why life is important and why we should remember why it's important, why we shouldn't get lost in the day-to-day things of, being mundane and just kind of existing. It's truly a testament to staying alive. It's truly a testament to getting back to life on a daily basis. And that's what it is for me. For somebody, it may be just a travel video. But for me, it's a constant reminder to get back to life every time I open my eyes, every time I wake up. So yes, that Back to Life channel is definitely geared towards, motivating people to be able to remember that, like, we do have a life to live. You weren't just put on this earth to be a machine to maybe, check in and clock in at work every day and that's all you do. So definitely it's just a daily reminder to, hey, don't forget you're human too.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about why you get involved with like a variety of things. So between building houses, filming you building houses, right? Running a business, writing books, traveling, things like that. So what gets you wake up in the morning and just kind of saying, you know what, I'm ready for another adventure?
Man, just to be honest, I mean, like, just to tell you the core, the what you would call like the foundation of everything for me is, I mean, I just have so much gratitude for life itself. I mean, I'm a man of faith. I believe in God. I'm a Christian. So for me, it's all based off of my Christian faith. And, the moment I wake up, my first thoughts are, thank you, God, for waking me up today. Like, I've conditioned my mind to do that at this point. And it's not something I just say because it's cliche or it sounds good. I mean, I wake up, 5:45, 6 a.m. every day, and I don't have to, but I love to. Like, I tell people, like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like, one day we won't have the opportunity to wake up, and you won't have the opportunity to go out and do what you want to do. So for me, when I wake up, I'm like, it's like the whole carpe diem, kind of quote that kind of goes around the internet. But like, you have to seize the day. I have these conversations daily with friends, with my cousin Paul that you've met. And even when we're out there building a duplex, I'm over there like, Paul, come here for a second. Let me talk to you. Do you understand that we have the opportunity to live life? Like, someone doesn't. Someone was not allowed that opportunity today. Someone is mourning a loved one. So every moment that I get, with a breath of fresh air in my lungs and the ability to open my eyes and my brain actually working, I'm like, why wouldn't I go try stuff? Like, at the end of the day, if I fail at something, at least I tried. At least I have something to learn from. But imagine waking up, not trying anything, and never having an opportunity to learn from anything. So for me, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's a failure in some people's eyes or even my own eyes, because we're going to judge ourselves more than anybody can judge us, right? As humans, like, we see ourselves daily and we may think we're not good enough or we don't feel good enough or whatever it is. But in my eyes, I am blessed to not have to deal with that. And that's been a process. That is not an overnight thing. But at this point, it's my eyes open up. I'm ready to attack the day. And if it's to film Nico's property show, or if it's to film a Back to Life video in India or Switzerland, or if it's to, deal with some of my other businesses, or if it's to write a book or make music, why not? I don't ask the question why. Most people say, well, why? I say, why not? Like, what do I truly have to lose? I'm 28 years old, and in 2 years I'll be 30. If I want to start over, I can completely stop doing everything I've done to this point, and I'm only 30. I haven't even lived half my life yet. So my answer, I guess, to your question there is, why not?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so if you guys think that Nico comes across right now as a pretty high energy kind of person, it's pretty, what is it, 7:20 p.m. right now. So I can testify to the fact that, like, you meet him in real life at 7 a.m. because sometimes he would be like, hey, come up and help me film this and that, and so that was my mentorship was what I was referring to. So I had a chance to spend a little bit of time with Nico and just kind of seeing how he does it, like the nuts and bolts and mechanics of it, right? So 7 a.m. and I mean, this is exactly what you're gonna see. What you see right now is, he's excited and just gonna ready to get going. In your book, you said something about start thinking about, like, instead of you have to do something, you get to do something, right? I like that quote. So tell us a little bit more about how you didn't have to go to India, but you get a chance to go in there, and tell us a little bit about your experience, people you met, things like that.
So that is something I have lived my life by for the last probably what I really clicked, the I don't have to, I get to, was probably about 4 to 5 years ago. You know, you're becoming that adult. You're in this world of trying to figure things out. You're kind of getting through this idea of, you know, what am I going to do in life? And then I stopped saying, man, I have to go to work. I was like, man, I get to go to work. And I was a high school teacher at one point, and I actually remember I was passing by the principal one day, and he was an older gentleman. I think he was in his either upper 60s
Nico,
or something.
stop for a second. How old were you when you were a teacher in high school?
I was turning 23 because my birthday's in November. So I was 20. Maybe I was 23 or 24. I honestly can't even remember at this point because I have my master's degree. So I think I was actually 23 turning 24.
Yeah.
So I remember walking by the principal one day, and he's like, "How are you today?" And my answer, just from the bottom of my heart, was, "I'm doing amazing. I get to teach kids." And he said, "Come here." Like, he stopped me. I'm like, "Oh shoot, what did I say wrong?" And he's like, "The fact that you said you get to tells me that you're actually happy about what you're doing." So to tie that into, you know, me traveling to all these different countries, to me going to India, a lot of people will question my intentions and say, you know, why do you want to go to these places? Like, you live in America. It's perfect. Like, you have Florida. You can go to Arizona, go to California, go to Montana, go to all these crazy different places, right? But the fact that I can travel across the world on an airplane for less than $1,000 and be in a different community, be in a different culture, be with different food, with different people, with different type of ideas. Just, I mean, you got to think, everyone thinks differently. You know, we're conditioned here in the United States of America to think a certain way. They're conditioned to think a different way. But for me to be able to go over there and see how the world works, how they view the West, how the West views them, and the craziest thing about it all is we're so much alike, it's not even funny. And the West will make you think that you're, yes, that's it. We're just human beings. And the West will make you think you're so much better than the people over there. And over there, they're drooling over Hollywood and all these different things, and they love the West, but they're not realizing that people are so empty over here. You know, because we live in a consumer world over here. We live in a what can I do next world. Over there, man, I was able to experience some of the coolest relationships. I've met some of the most awesome people that I've only known at this point from me being over there 3 times, but they're like brothers to me. And when we call each other on WhatsApp or message back with each other, like, you know, there's a genuine connection. It's not just something that just transpired just to transpire. And then, you know, sometimes that happens here a lot. It's networking is this thing in the US where it's like, it's almost become a fad versus let's build a relationship from networking, right? It's like, well, how many people can I meet? How many people can I get close to because I may need something from them? Over there, networking's a little bit different. They actually kind of dive into the relationship. And if you become someone that's close to them, I mean, they bring you around their family, which is sacred. Like, you're not just hanging out with people's families and all this stuff. And so being able to go around these guys' families and these, you know, these women and their wives and their kids and everything like that. So you're building these bonds that are truly real versus like, you know what? Let's just network because maybe one day I can give you a call and get something out of you, or we can make some money doing it. There was no intention at all there. It was, hey, my name is such and such. Hey, my name is such and such. Do you want to go grab food? And who? Why not? You know, there we go again. There's my question. Why not?
Yeah. Maybe what you saw out there could be explained by the fact that, maybe it is a developing country, right? And so it's almost like we're all in this together. Let's go figure it out. And all of a sudden, I mean, you choose to be, what's the word? Not dependent, but you choose to connect because it's just better together, right?
100%.
Versus Western countries, you see, the more money the person has, the more land they have to the left and right from their house. Like, the more separated we are, and we strive for that, right? I mean, we're all trying to make it and get there, and millions, billions, you know. But what you're testifying to is the fact that maybe that's not necessary. I mean, it's important, it's good, right? Because it's freedoms and all. But is this where the meaning is, or there's more?
Right.
Yeah.
And I found a balance. I don't know, me personally, Matt, I don't know how you think, but I found a balance of what does the West have to offer? What does the East have to offer? And how can I combine those two worlds? I actually got stuck over there when COVID first, happened. When in 2020, I got stuck over there for 2 months. And I tell people, they're like, man, they're like, do you regret it? And I'm like, not at all, 0%. I'm so happy that it happened because it made me stop and it made me refocus and it allowed me, it didn't make me, it allowed me to understand how important this life is and this life is. And it created that like yin and yang effect in my life. And now when I process information or when I process what I want to do next, it's almost like this like computer system in my brain is like creating this like, okay, well, this is why, because you have a relationship here, you have money here, like, and is it important? And then it can just switch around real quick. And before that, it was all about the money. And I remember in 2019 when it was 2020 was happening, I do my New Year's resolutions. I made a New Year's resolution and it was chase the experience, not the money. And that was the best decision I ever made because those experiences brought me more money than I ever would have gotten if I was chasing the money and not the experience.
That's so interesting you say. How many years ago was this?
To 2020. Oh, 2019 so it was the New Year's of 2019. So 2018, I stopped teaching going into the new year of 2019. So that's 2019, 2020, 21, 22. I mean, we're 4 years from that.
So Nico, all these different things that you're talking about, right? From the outside, people might say like, what's this guy doing? Like, is he really focused on his businesses? Because he's like doing this over here and this over here. And would maybe one be more successful if he focused on that one? But can we maybe double click on that a little bit as far as like, and we've had some discussions on that, right? Like there's actually something to that in kind of what you're doing, right? Because you got these totally different platforms, right? You've got on your one of your more recents, right, with the property show here over the last year, right? You've gone from 0 to over 800,000 followers there. I don't know how many umpteen hours of views right on the platform because that's a little bit longer content there. But maybe can you just give us a little bit of tips there as far as maybe how that kind of interacts? Is there some kind of tricking the rhythm or the algorithm behind the scene a little bit there, or
right?
Yeah.
So for me personally, I always tell people I'm a squirrel, right? I'm running around. I'm like the Over the Hedge. I don't know if you've seen the cartoon. There's a little guy in Over the Hedge, and he's like the little squirrel / raccoon looking thing, and he just boom, boom, boom. And I feel like that's my life, but I feel like it's controlled. It's not chaos. It's controlled chaos that looks beautiful. In my mind, it all makes sense. I talk to people all the time that are like, don't you feel like you're doing too much? And I'm like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I still have room. I'm still awake for an extra hour a day where I could be doing something even more productive. And so I found the love. I found the passion in these things that I'm doing. I found that I'm not chasing the money amount. I'm chasing who I'm becoming through the process of what I'm doing. So someone may say, well, if you focused on that one business, well, hold on. Why should I focus on that one business? Is it to make more money? You see what I'm saying? What is the real intention behind growing that particular business? So for me, I go, well, I'm most happy when I'm comfortable. I can have a comfortable life. I got a nice house. I built a brand new house. I can travel the world. I can build, rental properties. How much more money do I really need? See, we don't need that much more money. We may want it because we may want the things that the money can buy. But now, if you take a look at me being 28 years old, I'm diversified. I'm in 3 or 4 different fields, and people go, well, yeah, I want to diversify. I want to do this. Well, what people don't realize is that I did focus on one thing for a really long time, and that was learning content. And people think, oh, well, you started YouTube only 4 years ago. Well, I was posting videos on Instagram for the last 15 years of my life. When it first came out, I was on there. I was learning what was going on. I stayed in the loop. When TikTok came out, I stayed in the loop. When all these Facebooks and videos, it didn't just happen. What someone may see is, well, you got monetized on YouTube, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, or this, that, and the other. At this point in my life, every single platform that I use, I am monetized on, except Twitter, and I don't use Twitter. So on Facebook, I get paid. On Instagram, I get paid. On YouTube, I get paid. On TikTok, I get paid. On Spotify, on Apple, on all these different platforms where I'm putting my stuff out there, I'm getting compensated. And that takes hard work. But what people don't understand is I was focused on one thing, and you have to build that one thing in order to be able to diversify, because you have to be able to afford diversification. You don't just wake up one morning and go, you know what, let me invest in 14 things and we're just going to make it work. Because 14 of them might fail, to be honest. So at the end of the day, for me personally, Matt, to answer your question in a more generalized, summarized statement is, if I wasn't doing all of these different things, I don't think my experiences would have brought me to the experience that I'm in right now. So I value the moment I'm in right now, but it's the moments that brought me to this moment. Would we be having this conversation? You see what I'm saying? But all those other moments brought me into this moment. And so
it's that practice concept, right? So just go practice. When we all come up with excuses of like, well, I don't write well. And I like this quote where it says, show me your bad writing. Show me your bad content. You're just not doing it. I mean, let's just be honest. And so I think a lot of people who are going to be watching us, they're going to be asking the same question. Well, I mean, filming videos these days is kind of easy, right? And I'm pointing to a device we all have it in our pockets now. Well, it's easy. You just post it out there. But man,
you're pointing at the wrong device, Anton.
He's
an Android user, folks. This is the iPhone. This is the Apple product.
There we go.
We have this argument every time.
Don't get started. Mr. Nico, don't get started. So, but again, going back to Nico, like, let me be this kind of person who, like, a cynical person who's watching this, like, oh, look at this guy. He just films videos with a phone and posts them out there, and he thinks it's some sort of complex thing. Well, to your defense and to defense of everybody who does content, I mean, man, it is a hell of a job. I mean, it is really, really, I saw you doing this. I thought it was a privilege to see, like, really nuts and bolts of how, like, you got started with the construction show. That was kind of cool. And it was this cold mornings. It was winter, and it was this dirt all around you, right? And it was 2 or 3 takes at times. And there was, oh shoot, we're not ready because the truck is coming tomorrow morning, and we need that piece of content. I mean, we don't even understand sometimes what it, like, oh, the guy travels to India. The guy, like, there's an airplane, there's transportation, there's cost, so content is hard. Content is real hard. But let's double down on this a little bit in terms of content. Let's switch our gears a little bit here and content. Like, tell us a little bit more about any sort of, like, mechanics, any sort of philosophy that I need to possess today as an entrepreneur, right? To be successful at just existing as a business. And I'm kind of hinting at content piece.
For sure. So personally, for me, what I've learned from my years of experience by posting and building my own personal brand. So if I was building a actual company, a lot of people get almost traumatized by posting one video, not getting views or likes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they feel less important. But what they have to understand is we are in the year 2022. It's almost 2023. Nothing we post is pushed out unintentionally. Everything is algorithmized, if that's even a word. So there is an intention with every single post that you put out there, whether it's how many people, maybe, like, call your friends. Maybe it's your friends that follow you. Maybe it's people that don't follow you. Maybe it's other businesses. When your content is pushed out, it all happens in a split second. How many people out of this demographic watched it for, let's say, more than 3 seconds? Okay, they watched it for 3 seconds. We're going to go, boom. Okay, they didn't watch it for 3 seconds. It goes here. And you have to understand, I tell people all the time, we think we're more important than we really are, and we're not. We're not at all. It's what value can you provide for the consumer as they're taking time out of their precious life. That's how we have to think about it. Think about the consumer being the important one, right? I don't think about myself as I'm this mighty person who can post anything and get the views. It's what can I post to take time out of their valuable life for them to sit down, watch my video, and share it with someone else. That's special. What's not special is me thinking I'm so great that if I post it, they should watch it. It's what value can I provide in that moment? So from a content perspective, my biggest thing is volume. I'm a big proponent of volume. I can post up to 10 to 15 short videos a day. And when I really get going, I can make it 20 a day. But to me, is because I've learned the game. I know the system at this point. I know how I need to edit it. I know that if I post it on TikTok, I can download it from this downloader without the watermark from TikTok. And I already put the captions on it. I put my own Nico's Property Show watermark on it to brand it. I download it without the TikTok. I take it to Instagram. I take it to YouTube Shorts. I take it to Facebook Reels. I take it to Instagram Reels. And you have to understand that I just took one piece of content that someone would have thought, well, I have to create a whole new video. And I took it to 4 other platforms that are promoting short content. They're all in competition. There's no bigger competition right now than short content. And I know you even kind of mentioned to me at some point in our conversations, longer content and everything like that. Long content is very hard because of attention spans and all of the TikToks and the YouTube Shorts at this point. So how can we really get in competition with long versus short? Those are completely different audiences. When I post short content, there's people that go, can you please post a long video? What are you doing? I want more of your time. I want you to have more of my time. Like, I love your videos. Please stop posting short videos. I want to watch long. But all in all, essentially, my biggest thing is volume. Of course, there has to be quality behind your videos. Of course, you don't want it to look like it was filmed on a potato from 2001. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, volume, you got to have quality behind the picture, which almost every phone in today's world is a high quality camera, if not better than a DSLR. All my short content is filmed on my iPhone. I don't film short content on a DSLR. The only reason I use my Sony a7C is because I want it to have a show type of feel. It gives it a little dramatic effect. There's a little stabilization. We have the wide lens. Like, it gives it that landscape look for what YouTube actually needs. And so for me, it's doing all those things and not worrying about the viewer count. Because when you start consuming the view count, the likes, the comments, you stop focusing on what you should be doing, which is the content. And when you stop focusing on the content, all of a sudden, all you're worried about is, I only got one view. You can't even think of a new video idea because all you're thinking about subconsciously is how no one likes you. And it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the value you provided them in that video, which was probably nothing because you were more consumed with, will people like me?
Yeah.
Versus what value can I bring?
Yeah. So, Nico, you're packing just a whole lot of really important things here. So you talk about value. We always talk about, right, Matt and I, Growth Clinic. I've been preaching this for the last 6 years or so. Value. Be focused on value, right? I like what you said as far as I heard this expression somewhere as well, kind of like a second piece to what you were saying is we're underestimating our influence and overestimating our importance. So we're not as important, but we have a whole lot more influence than we even can imagine. And so just that human connection on a daily, that's a huge benefit that we all have. And you're just gonna drop the little bolts, what I call, right, little mechanics. So you edit short. So you film on the phone. You go to TikTok. You edit in TikTok.
Yep.
So that's your video editor. You put captions in there.
TikTok actually released a creator studio inside of the app. So it's basically Final Cut Pro inside of TikTok. So I can chop up videos. I can slow this down, speed this up. I can mute audio in certain areas. I mean, I literally basically have Final Cut Pro.
Get it to move to the music and things like that. So
easy.
So then you upload it there. Then you use a separate application to download the video. Then you've got that short piece content. They can go to YouTube Shorts.
Go anywhere.
LinkedIn, Facebook.
You name it.
Instagram,
you name it, it goes
like
there.
That. Yeah. So, okay. Well, awesome. Okay. So two, like almost like a double question. So how short is short and what makes that short piece of content successful?
Personally, I'd have to say that there's nothing too short. And that's based off of how our audiences are showing that to us. That's based off, take yourself, for example. When you're scrolling on Facebook, you don't stop consistently. It takes something very interesting to get you. And that's where I tell people, imagine yourself in the situation. Would you have stopped on your own video? And if the answer is no, not because you're in the video, take yourself out of it and say, if this was some random Jimmy, would you have stopped and watched this video? And so I've had videos as long as 3 seconds get hundreds of thousands of views. And then I've had videos as long as 57 seconds that have between TikTok and YouTube Shorts, it's at 80 million views or like 75 million views. And that's
For one piece of content.
one piece of content. And that's just those two. I didn't include Facebook and all these other platforms. You know, I'm pushing probably with my short content at this point, I have to be pushing probably 200 to 300 million views on short content alone. I mean, we're like, you got to think that's almost 1 billion views in a year or so, in another year or so. And so it doesn't matter how short or how long. I think people start thinking too technical when they need to think, how can I value the other side of this? Because when we go, well, how long is too long? How short is too short? All of a sudden, we're creating this framework that, well, what if the video is not even interesting? What value are you bringing me? And I can't reach everybody. You know, we're great friends now. Matt, you know, we've become closer. We met through Anton. Yes, we have a connection. So now there's like, it's not an obligation, but it's like, man, that's my friend. I'm going to check out what he's doing, you know, just because we have social media now, we can. But at the end of the day, if it's a complete stranger, there's nothing too short. There's nothing too long. But, you know, I will say that 60-second mark, if you're going to go over 60 seconds, now you need to go to the YouTube, the platforms like that, where, hey, if you can get monetized, go make some money with long version or whatever you call it, long form content. Like that's where you want to go make your money is on YouTube if you want to do long. But if you want to do short, you stay on TikTok, stay on Instagram, stay on Facebook, stay on the LinkedIns, because that's where people are scrolling. I mean, literally, when we get on, we're doing this. We're not going, oh, that's interesting. You know, there's an intention.
So also Google released a study on long form content, and so people scroll through long form content. That's why you see that little wave. Have you guys seen where your video gets enough views and it's long enough? It's got this little wave. Like most people stopped right here, watched for this long, and then they kind of went along. So no, and that makes total sense. So
Nico, your content there, from what I've seen, right? It seems to typically like. It's got to get you right away, right? Like, boom, there's something there, right? Because what you're saying, right, when you're scrolling through there is like what catches you right away. And there's a bunch of videos, right, on the different hooks, things like that. It's just something I've noticed about you that, like, boom, there you are, right? Almost like you just kind of popped up beside me and boom, there's Nico, right? And it's like, oh, it's Nico, right? Like it's friend. It's like, he's got, you know, something happy to say. He's always in a good mood there. But that's just something I've noticed that, boom, it's like, right away that you're kind of there and engaging right away. Right. You're never selling anything, right? Like you're kind of giving us something as far as like, have a great day here, right? Or, oh, what's this interesting thing that Nico's in, right? He was doing this interesting thing and now he's in a different business doing this interesting thing, right? So yeah, it just seems so, it's almost like you're, you know, not to,
don't make my
it's
head
almost like you're a figure
bigger.
skater, right? Like I'll put it out there like that, right? Not that you're not a manly man, right? But it just seems like you're smooth over the ice where it's very just smooth, right? Versus like this intentional, you know, effort. And I think that's what's so hard for all of us, I think including Anton and myself there, where it's like you're kind of holding back on that fear, that like trying to just push something out to someone versus kind of that authenticity kind of first, opening up that way. Another thing, just an idea out there, right? If you're concerned about yourself and putting yourself out there, right? I think that's definitely a way to go, but there's other platforms that you can put things out there too, right? Maybe it's your company page or a brand. I think it definitely is better to be individual and genuine, but to get things going, right? That's just one of those things that you can kind of practice with a little bit, right? While you build that up there.
Well, you said it takes practice. I mean, I can show you videos from where, let's say it was my first episode, where it's getting comfortable in front of not only a camera, it's someone holding the camera filming you.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, is this person judging me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you start becoming comfortable with certain cameramen. You start becoming more comfortable with certain camera women. Like, people sometimes never become comfortable with that, and therefore they cannot go in public with a camera. You know, for instance, on Nico's property show, you know, there's a different subcontractor in the job with every single thing that needs to be done. And so you have to imagine now there's a new face listening to me talking every other day. Then when I'm on the road and I'm traveling, there's complete strangers looking at me. It still feels, you feel your chest tighten up a little bit, right? But at the end of the day, just like when you went to your first job, let's say you were a cashier at 16 or 17 or 8 or at 55, and you never used the cash register, and someone walked up and you had to not only type in the money, you had to scan their stuff, talk to them, be nice to them, and then take their money and give them the right amount of change before credit cards became a thing. You don't think their chest was tightening up, they were freaking out? It's for anything. It takes time. It takes doing research. The amount of videos I've watched, the amount of videos I've filmed without posting them. It just takes practice, all in all.
So maybe finding a partner out there, right? That's maybe kind of in the same boat that you are, right? Or maybe a little bit better, or just kind of pushing each other there, right? To kind of
100%.
Hey,
accountability.
we're figuring this out together. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I'm thinking about camera operation, right, there's cables, there's batteries, there's lenses, there's dust on a sensor. That's all when you're at the cash register, right? And there's 15 people, and all of a sudden there's a coupon that you have it's like practice. Like the word that I'm hearing here is practice. Just go practice. Just go create 75 bad piece of content. The content number 76 is going to be better.
And what's crazy is, in reality, when we think in our heads, like, let me create 75 bad pieces of content, one of those out of 75 could be the most viral content ever created. I never thought that me posting a video talking about building a house in less than 60 seconds would reach almost 100 million views. Like, people from all over the world. I never would have thought that. And to me, I don't look at it as, wow, I accomplished that. I'm like, wow, 100 million people got to learn how we build houses in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And that's
in
cool
60 seconds.
In less than 60 seconds. And it got shared 30, 40, 50 thousands of times. Like, you can see the analytics there. And it's just, there's so much room for, like, it's not about you. It's about what is the person on the other side getting from you. And sometimes we have to remember that, like, we're not as important as we think we are, but we can surely teach them something. We can surely give them a little something that they may not be able to experience.
That's interesting.
You seem to be great at kind of banking in the wins kind of too, right? You talked about your first home, right? As far as the property show, right? You got that built, right? And basically kind of paid for, right? By creating this as well, right?
Yeah.
So now you've got a home, right? And you got a big, presumably a big chunk of equity, right? For doing that there.
Course.
Right? And then you were able to start the second property, a larger property right now in the middle of, right? You're able to do a Scooter's Coffee, a couple coffee shops, right? 2 or 3 here, right? Additional content as well too, right? But kind of locking in that win along the way. So I love that strategy for small, business owners, right? Is like,
kind of like a snowballing, right?
Yeah, it's kind of locking in some wins, right? Like, it's nice once you get kind of that equity, right, kind of under your belt, right? You don't have to worry as much about, paying the next mortgage or the big bill that's coming along there, right? You can kind of keep doubling down, right, each time you kind of grow and expand out there. So.
Exactly.
I think it's definitely good advice. What I'm hearing here is don't start with like an empty slate, right? Start with when you start, I know how it is. I've started quite a few things myself. And this, in fact, what we're doing right now is kind of like a start in itself. This is episode number 12, right?
Nice.
But so, yeah, when you start, you're like, where do we start? Matt, what are we going to talk about? Things like that. But then you eventually like snowball into like, which out of 159 things do I need to talk right now? And all of a sudden producing 17 pieces of content is easier. Versus where do I start? So no, I think it's definitely guys. If you're listening, I mean, there's nuggets of really, really good information here, from all the nuts and bolts to all the kind of whys and things like that. So
Nico, we don't want to go too deep on it, but when you were talking about monetizing in YouTube, right, I feel like so many people still don't understand as far as kind of just the basic math behind that. And I know there's probably different ways to capitalize on that, but is there just maybe kind of a generic formula teaser out there, right, where hey, you get 100,000 views, right, over, let's say it's an hour content. So let's say 100,000 hours. It's based here in the US, right? Because there's different rates depending on different parts of the world, right? That you pointed out there. Is there maybe just, a couple nuggets out there, maybe as far as some ways there to monetize?
Yeah, so if we're talking YouTube, of course, to get monetized, you need 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers within a 365-day period. And basically beyond that, the best way I always tell people is if you can get 1 million views on a video that's over about 8 minutes long, let's call it 10, and your viewership is from more so Western countries like the US, you got the UK viewers and stuff like that, you can probably most likely make anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 per million views. Now YouTube is actually introducing bonus plays for the shorts, because they created a fund because TikTok was paying, and then Facebook Reels started paying, Instagram started paying once Meta took over. So they were like, okay, we got to start giving out a little bit of money. So that started happening as well. But even now they're saying, like, I just got another email from Google, YouTube, and they're saying, hey, starting in January, we're going to start paying for shorts just like we pay for long form content.
Wow.
So obviously there's going to be different ways about it, because it's not a full on video, it's shorter, which more people are starting to convert to wanting to watch shorter content. So it is what it is at this point. So maybe they will compete in that sense where you're making, 5,000 to 10,000. Lord, please let them do that. I will repost that video that I got 40 million views on. Oh my gosh, I'd be sitting in, I'd still be doing what I'm doing actually, so never mind. But I just have more money to do it with. But no, and then you got Instagram, which pays, for instance, I have it gives you like this, hey, this is bonus Reels plays. You can make $8,500 this month. It is very hard to get those plays, though. If your videos aren't consistently getting, I think it was 86 million views gets you $8,500. TikTok, 1 million views on a TikTok video only gets you about $30 to $40. But it brings brand deals. It brings a cabinet company coming to you and saying, hey, I'll give you free cabinets. Give me a YouTube long video, a short video, an Instagram video. It posts us across all platforms. Bring people over. Facebook pays really well, actually. Facebook is one of the best, in my opinion. It almost seems like the views just keep going and the money just keeps stacking up in there. So even the short content, then people can give you what they call stars. That's your supporters. You can get the ad revenue also. But my most success has been from bonus reel plays on Facebook. So the short version content, but they give bonuses on top of the bonus plays. So they're like, well, if you get 15 videos that reach 10,000 views, we'll give you an extra $1,000. So it makes it more enticing. But there's so much opportunity. But like you said, most people don't know. They don't even know that it's a thing. They don't even understand. Like,
I think maybe there's some ad revenue that, YouTube collects just for it. Maybe, gets passed on to some of the big superstars on the platform. But no, it's like you're like a TV producer, right? You're like a movie producer.
And you can make a good living.
And
like on my first, I'll give you real numbers. On my first, like the house I'm sitting in right now, I think, so I started with 0 subscribers. And then within 8 months, I was at probably 120 or 130,000 subscribers on just YouTube itself. That's not including TikTok or any of the other stuff.
Which is extremely hard to kind of break through, right? It's one of the hardest.
Oh, man. YouTube is so hard. It's so hard.
So do you feel like you wouldn't have done that unless you had your other platforms that were kind of like you already
100%.
had a following that kind of got
was TikTok involved somehow in this? Nico, tell us a little bit about
100%. Well, let me tell you how much money I made first. So in that 8-month period, I think I was able to accumulate just on YouTube almost $14,000 or something, which you got to think, I mean, that's a down payment on a house. That was getting built anyway. So all I did was, film it. And then obviously it took hours of editing and making sure it was the right stuff, paying people to come out if they can, to come film, doing different things. But then my biggest thing was, which is crazy, Matt, that you said that, is I actually wasn't able to convert a lot of my followers over from my other stuff to this because people fell in love with me for something else. You got to think, as cool as you are to them in that moment, they like you for travel. They like you for motivation. They don't necessarily want to watch a construction video. So I started posting on TikTok aggressively. I started taking my episodes, just boom, just 45 seconds of, 20 clips later, that was one episode. And I started posting that, and out of nowhere, like literally 2 or 3 weeks into starting my TikTok account, boom, a video gets like 2 million views. It goes viral over the dumbest thing. I asked the guy how he was doing at Home Depot, and he said, "Doing good. How are you?" And I said, "I'm blessed." And people started commenting like, "You're so stupid. I'd punch you in the face if you said that to me." Like, that's the dumbest way to respond to someone who asks you how you're doing, you idiot. And I was like,
and Nico,
wow,
in this
awesome.
moment goes, Come on, engagement.
I was like, yes.
Tell me more about it.
I was like, this is amazing. I love this. And it blew my mind. I was like, I found it. I figured it out. Keep being positive on this different side of the world, on this construction side where, and I'm like a pretty boy. Like, I wear the skinny jeans. I wear the tight, so that's making people even more mad. They're like, "Are you wearing your wife's jeans?" And I'm like, "No, I actually borrowed them from your sister."
I saw you wearing like these sandals and orange socks or something. And I'm thinking like, is it intentional or is it really just kind of? So I think probably a hybrid of both.
That's how I dress. Like, I wear Birkenstocks with socks and tight jeans. Like, that's just my fashion. You know what I'm saying? And people in that world, it bothers them for some reason. They think you're not manly enough to be a contractor, or you're not manly enough to pick up a shovel because your pants are too tight. Which I was like, this is even better. I'm gonna continue being myself.
So maybe me calling you an ice skater wasn't such a bad
that was like the perfect depiction right there.
Yeah. We'll see you out there in Sequin, right on the construction site there, and watch your views go up.
It's been the journey of just learning what people were wanting and what they were wanting to see, and then the storytelling I was able to do. And just the short form content from TikTok, and then starting to pull them over to YouTube. That's what got me monetized. Is I started pulling people over, and you would see that the external little graph chart, whatever it is, was what was going crazy. And they're, hey, we want more, we want more, we want more. And then all of a sudden it's like, yo, we're with you. There's people on there, man, that I'm just like, wow, like you literally watched all those episodes, took time to comment, and you're telling me I can't wait for the next one. And what the heck, man? You didn't post a video when you were supposed to. What's your problem? Like, and it's just an unreal feeling to think these are complete strangers that become, I don't even like calling them fans. Like, they become, I say fam, like they become more so family versus fans. And now they're these like supporters that are literally allowing you, if that's your only career, they're allowing you to make a living. And if for me it's a side hustle, like my side hustle is better than some people's careers. And I don't say that like pridefully. I say that like it's crazy that I'm able to make enough money, with sponsorships and YouTube revenue and TikTok revenue and all these different things, to make enough money to say, I made, let's say, $20,000 off of all platforms while I was building a house that was going to get built anyway. And that's just the first project. You got to think that's how this show started. So now I'm moving into step 2. Now I have, instead of 1 or 2 sponsors, I have 4 or 5 that are willing to give me $30,000 worth of product, materials, whatever it is. And then that $30,000 was going to get spent. So in reality, I just saved 30 grand. While YouTube was still making me revenue, while Instagram was still making me revenue, while Facebook was making me revenue, while whatever else I didn't name off, TikTok or something, So all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I just built a project and I saved, air quotes, I saved $50,000 to $70,000. That's the 2-year salary for some people. That's like the Chattanooga median, I think, is like $30,000 a year.
Right.
I hope not.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is, though.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, guys, I think this is this is awesome. We're definitely like organically kind of have gotten to a whole different place where I thought we're gonna go. I thought we're gonna discuss a little bit more about content for organizations. So I'm looking at Nico right now, and Nico, as long as you publicly promise us you're gonna jump back on one of these calls sometime in the future, and And let's talk maybe at some point about that, because we get a ton of questions about, okay, so you're an influencer and you're awesome and you build your houses. I'm a coffee shop. I am a contractor, which you've already given a little bit of kind of backdoor into, oh, this is what you could do. I'm an influencer. You can partner with somebody like me or somebody like, in that realm to get your branding kind of out there. So let's focus on that. We'll devote maybe another episode to this.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's kind of wrap this up, because I know we've been here for quite some time here. Let's wrap this up with spend a little bit of time talking about like growth mindset. You talk a lot in your book. Just right now, personally, every time we talk, you say, "I'm uncomfortable. I like being uncomfortable." What's so fun about being uncomfortable, and what kind of thing pushes you there?
When you ask the question, what's so fun about being uncomfortable, the first word that literally popped into my mind is growth, which makes perfect sense here. You have to think, and because I relate life to real world scenarios. So for me, I look at, let's say I look at the earth, right? Take a flower, for example, take a tree, take whatever it is. Let's take nature. Nature goes through the worst of everything. It has to live outside. It has to get rained on. It doesn't get to. It has to. It has to get rained on. It has to get scorched by the sun. It has to get stepped on by people. It has to go through all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you're like, is that a flower growing through the crack of some concrete? That's what I relate it to, is if like I'm getting goosebumps, no joke, I literally feel them. But that's how important it is to me, is because when I know I'm uncomfortable, I know something greater is on the other side of that. Even though I'm a little bit anxious, even though it's a little pressing, even though you lose a little sleep over it, whatever the moment is, I know there's something greater, whether it's knowledge, whether it's being able to make a little bit of money to support my life, whether it's to help someone else in their life. I think, and I'm grateful to God that I tell him in my thankful walks every day, thank you for giving me a servant's heart so that I can help people. Because I know that me being in the positions that I'm in, I love being able to pour into other people. And when I'm able to be uncomfortable, I can take on what a lot of people cannot take on. The amount of stress, and me being a high functioning individual, which someone watching this could be like, dude, what is this guy on? Like, his eyes are freaking like just booming out of his head when he talks the whole time. It's 8 p.m. I've been at work since 7. Like, but that's my life, and I love it. And being able to be in these uncomfortable situations, it opens the door to so many awesome opportunities. Like I said, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, that, again, why not? Like, that's my life motto. Why not? And just do it. Nike, just do it. And why not? That question. And I love it.
Yeah.
I literally just love it.
I definitely appreciate that you've connected growth and being uncomfortable, because I 100% agree with you. Every time you start something that's new, right, brand new to you, oh my goodness, we're uncomfortable, right? We don't know where to go, where to start, what to do. I'm going to look so stupid. And I think it's really important, and again, you've mentioned that already, to have that like internal framework that will reset you every single time, or will keep you going. And so, and it sounds like you're engaged in an activity, right, that makes you uncomfortable, and somehow that in itself is where you're supposed to lose the energy, but somehow you trick your mind and your being into that place of being uncomfortable. Kind of you're gaining energy out of it, right? And what's the trick? What's the trick there?
What the craziest thing is, as you're saying all that, like, to me, when I'm uncomfortable, I'm most comfortable. So when I'm not uncomfortable, I begin to, it's almost like you begin to mope around in life, and then nothing is as good as it seems, and everything. The key to all of these different things is perspective. If you have the right perspective towards whatever situation, issue, challenge, and I think words play a big part in that in life. I think words have so much power. And the Bible says, that the tongue has the power of life and death. And that's me being a man of faith. So if somebody's watching, like, oh, I don't believe in all that, that's perfectly fine. But there's a thing called speaking stuff into existence. There's a thing called manifestation. That's not biblical. The speaking into existence is a little bit, but manifestation, that's not a biblical thing. That's a spiritual thing that has nothing to do with Christianity. But at the end of the day, what we think is what we will become. What we speak, what people don't understand is look how close our mouth is to our ears. And everything that our ears register go into our brain. Now, all of a sudden, it's in a storage container inside of our brain. So no matter what you say, even your thoughts, everything is compiled in here. So if you're just telling yourself you're not good enough, you shouldn't start something new, and then you hear it from someone else, now you're validating that thought process with what they said and with the thoughts you already had. Now there's two people against you and you don't even know it. You think it's just them, but it's also you in the same moment. So at the end of the day, what I realized was I don't need someone to tell me I'm good enough. I don't need someone to tell me to get started. I'll let them know I'm getting started, and regardless of what they say, I'm going to do it. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that people struggle with is the first step, which is usually the hardest. But if you can take the first step, every step after that is so much easier. It's so much easier. But getting to the gym is really hard. Once you're there, you're doing chest press. You're going to do some extra push-ups. You're going to get some abs in. Well, I'm already here. I might as well stretch. You know what? I'll even do some cardio today. So all of a sudden, the first step was getting in the car. The second step was, okay, let me make that drive over there. Let me get out of the car. Oh, wait, I can actually work out. This is cool. I feel good. And people don't realize is if they could just hurdle over that first, and I don't have that issue. I've conditioned my mind to the first step is the easiest step for me. I hate the finish line. When I'm done, I'm sad. I'm like, well, dadgummit, I got to start something new. Like, you know, and I'll be honest, like I was writing my books. I was so excited about it. I was in the process of it. I was doing it. I was recording the audio book for it. You know, the Stop Beating Yourself Up. That's the one that has the audio version. And I got done. It took me 2.5 weeks to write the book and do the audio version for it. And I was like, well, that sucks. I'm done. Like it hurt my feelings. Like, but in the moment, I couldn't wait to tell somebody I was doing it. Like, bro, I'm killing it right now. I love it. And when I finished, I was like, I was devastated. I was
that is really crazy. Okay, Nico, really quick, what do you think shaped you that way? What type of formative experiences you think shaped you to be that way? Because that's not that. When I look at the world, it seems to be like you're an exception out of the rule. How do we flip that rule upside down?
I would have to say more than likely it was my upbringing. My parents migrated from which was the Soviet Union, now Ukraine. So my upbringing was very, what you said you were going to do, you do it. Whether you feel good today or you don't feel good today, you got to go to work. You got to go to school. You got to... And it was never actually vocalized. It was just expected. And so now there's this like, I don't expect anything from people because you'll typically get let down. But my expectation on myself, I know I'm in control of that. So doing things like that. And then I played football, so American football, in middle school, high school, college. I got a master's degree. The valuable lessons I learned from putting yourself on a team where you are not the most important position or you are not the most important factor. You are one of the factors that make the team what it is. You see what I'm saying? When you're willing to run that extra mile because your buddy needs to lose a little bit of extra weight, now you're saying, I'm selfless. Okay? So, and I think that a lot of people they're not even selfless for themselves. They're selfish in a sense of, you know what, I don't want to go to the gym, so I'm going to sit home and eat chips. You're letting yourself down. You're not letting anybody else down. And I think that's one of the most important things is when you become selfless for yourself, all of a sudden everything starts to click because now whatever you do, you're going, oh, this is for a better version of me. So in the moment, while it may be the hardest thing ever, while it may be, I really don't want to read a book, but you need motivation. In 3 weeks, you're going to want to dive into that book even more. It just takes a little bit of selfless motivation so that you can help yourself. When at the end of the day, nobody can do it for you. I can want it for you, but that doesn't mean you're going to want to do it. You know the amount of times we've all probably spent trying to pour into somebody that honestly didn't want it, but we saw this potential and and you just like, come on, bro, you can. And that was selfish. You wanted something for something, or you wanted something for someone that you thought was good for them, but that was from your intention. The individual there has to be selfless and understand that it's for their greater good. Then all of a sudden everything will work out. You just got to get up and do it. Like that's my best way of describing that whole why I am the way I am situation.
Are there some ways that you keep yourself accountable, Nico, as far as like, hey, just, tomorrow I want to knock out these 3 things? Or I haven't quite figured out from you if you're somebody that, hey, when you're doing something, you're all in, or you're great at shifting gears maybe. Like if you're writing a book, are you writing a book and kind of like the full throttle, or do you tend to kind of like just kind of shift that focus around a little bit?
So I'm 110% in what I am in the moment. So for instance, I was traveling, I was posting videos daily, I was doing everything, boom, boom, boom. As soon as I stopped traveling, that's gone. Then I was into Nico's property show. I mean, in 3 weeks, my entire duplex is framed. So you got to think, we cleared land, we dug footings, we poured footings, we did block foundation, we did backfill for the gravel, we did a plumbing rough in, we got the slab poured, then we got the house framed. You got to think, stuff is happening where I'm going, you know what, this is my moment right now. It needs my focus. And then when it's time to write a book, I'll write that book in a week if I need to, and I'll get it done. And then I'll go, you know what, it's time to go do this. I can shift. I just prefer to be hyper focused on what it is, because I know my brain and the way it operates. Right now, I am on a mission to get this duplex done, and it's going to get done. And it's going to get done fast, and I'm going to put all my effort into it. But I also know that these things are going on, and I'm like, okay, let me maintain it. So while I'm sitting at the duplex today, I'm editing a video in my truck, hooked up, charging my laptop from my Switzerland
I love
trip.
it, man. I just love it.
Yeah. So while work is going on and it's getting filmed, I'm editing a video from Switzerland for Back to Life.
I feel like a lot of people just don't use that kind of extra time, and it feels like there's so much kind of extra time out there, and maybe you're just kind of tired, exhausted, or distracted, or you're just going to scroll through your phone and see what's going on there. But it feels like there's almost always time if you want to do something, right? Like if you're passionate about it, and that's what kind of gives you that energy and helps you focus.
One thing I know we're trying to end this out, but one thing I called my cousin over today and I said, come here, let me tell you something. I sit there, like while I'm watching stuff happening, my mind is just running. And I said, you know what the problem is? People are chasing the wrong M. They're chasing the millions instead of the mindset. And I was like, it blew my mind that came to my mind. I said, if you gave me $1 million in cash today, I'd still be doing the same thing I'm doing, because I'm chasing the mindset. And I was like, when you correct your mindset, the millions can come. But if you can't manage $1, how do you expect to manage $1 million? You're going to go broke. If you're broke with $1, you'll be broke with $1 million. So when I told him, I said, people are chasing the wrong ends. They're chasing millions where they should be chasing a different mindset. And that mindset will create a completely different trajectory in their life. They'll finally have direction. They're not just taking a buckshot, shooting it out and going, which way should I go? All of a sudden, they have direction. They have a direction they're going in. They're moving this way. They're taking a left. They're taking a right. And then sometimes there's a stop sign. Sometimes there's an accident in the road. Sometimes you have to stop and wait for a train for 30 minutes. But guess what? You know where you're headed. And when your mindset is the important thing versus the millions and the motive of I'm cool and I want to be this and I want to be that, all of a sudden all those things start coming, and you can say, oh, I don't like the popularity. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing anyway. I'm fine. I'm okay. But when you have those confused and you're chasing the millions versus the mindset, and all of a sudden everything that seems cool should be in your life. When at the end of the day, everybody doesn't need to have 100,000 followers on Instagram. At the end of the day, everybody doesn't need 1 million subscribers on all platforms or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not necessary. It's just they're chasing the wrong M.
Love it.
Yeah. No, that's definitely A lot of wisdom in there. So that's for sure, Mr. Nico. So, hey guys, we have been here for over an hour. And again, I always say this at the end of our live streams. If you're listening to us right now on Spotify, you have been at the gym this whole time. I am proud of you. So keep doing it. And Nico talked a little bit about pushing yourself and being uncomfortable, things like that. So guys, you have been super awesome. Nico, really briefly at the end, any sort of advice you would give to an entrepreneur out there, to a younger maybe person, older person who's just trying to figure things out and who is trying to kind of accomplish and kind of go forward, grow. What's your advice to them?
I think my biggest nugget of advice would be just do it. If you're thinking about it right now, just do it. If you were thinking about it yesterday, just do it. If you're thinking about starting tomorrow, just do it. That's it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Matt, unless you have any more comments, any sort of questions?
No, I love it. I think maybe we should just do where we can find where people can find Nico at there. Yeah, just real quick. We got Nico's Property Show on YouTube, right? Easy to find out there.
Yeah, Nico's Property Show on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Back to Life on YouTube and Facebook, and Nico TJR, which is Niko TJR on Instagram. That's kind of like, that's my verified profile where it's my personal page, but that's where I post my travels and then my motivational videos and the stories. You can kind of keep up with me daily. And then Stop Beating Yourself Up and Failure Breeds Success on Amazon.com are my 2 books. And Back to Life on Spotify and Apple Music if you want to hear me rapping and singing country music and all that different stuff. I just try to do it all.
He does it all. He does it all.
I'm not gonna lie. There are a couple of songs out there that I'm pretty into. Every time somebody comes in, somebody, go listen to the song. It's called Somebody. It's pretty awesome. Guys, can't say enough. Thank you. This has been awesome. The fact that we have been here for over an hour and it feels like we've been here for only like 7.5 minutes tells me that this is a quality conversation. So again, thank you guys. Thank you to all who has been listening to us tonight. If you're listening to us on the way to work, go hustle. If you're wrapping up your gym exercises, you're awesome. And just go do it. Like Nico said. Just go do it. So, guys, stay tuned for more. We'll be in touch, and you know where to find us. Have a great day. Have a great week, and stay tuned. See ya.
I'll see y'all next time.
See ya. Thanks, Nico.
See ya.